girls, beat boys, superstar DJs.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Early Evening Sports Cafe with Ginch. I'm the Here's Bracketology, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to bring him on right away. You know him as Mr. James Fletcher, bracketologist, associate editor at On3 Sports, NBA draft coverage for @5GOATs, host of 3 True Values. On the Twitter machine, it's @JD. I'm blind as a bat. @JD Fletch 3.
Yes.
On the Twitter. James, I know you're busy. Thanks for spending a half an hour here.
Yeah, no problem. It's looking forward to it. Finally getting to break down the bracket instead of trying to piece together what it's going to look like.
Yes, we are. So I'm going to jump into it here real quick as soon as I can bring my brackets up. Where did they go? They were here just a minute ago, and now they're not here.
That's how it
goes. Okay, so let's start in the South. Obviously, Auburn should have no problem in the first round. So I've got them advancing. When we get to Creighton and Louisville, the 8-9 matchup, I've got Creighton over Louisville in this one. How did you see it?
I've got Louisville in this one just barely. I think it's a really close matchup. Obviously, Ryan Kalkbrenner being kind of the anchor piece there for Creighton. Assume if you're going for them, you're a fan of what he's able to do in the middle. But you look at the perimeter, and Louisville has Chucky Hepburn, who had a incredible year for the Cardinals there. And just like I think that the vibes around this Louisville team have been really good these last couple of weeks. They're winning games, and really, I mean, even that Duke game kind of looked like they could compete with some of the best teams in college basketball throughout that one. So I'm rolling with them there.
The 5-12 matchup in the South, we got Michigan against UC San Diego. Michigan's got those 2 big 7-footers. I know San Diego likes to shoot the ball from the outside. Look, the way Michigan looked in the Big Ten tournament, not rolling through it, but I mean, they played solid defense. They grind you to death. I've got Michigan advancing in this game.
Yeah, I do too. Just barely, really. I know UC San Diego is going to be a popular upset pick. I really like this team. I've been a fan of theirs all season, but I just think that Michigan, the key is going to be limiting the turnovers. That's been kind of their Achilles heel throughout the year. That's what UC San Diego wants to do. So if Michigan can use their size and kind of grind this one out, like you said, I think they'll hold on.
All right, I'm not going to give away any more of my picks. I'll wait till later. So because it'll take forever. So when you look at the Texas A&M and Yale game, interesting matchup. We know what Yale does, and Texas A&M likes to play solid defense. Again, they grind you to death. How do you have this game?
I've got Texas A&M in this one. I think that their rebounding is going to be the key here. A team that gets out on the boards better than any team in the country is what Buzz Williams, wants to do. And so I just think SEC level guys who are doing that against the level of competition that they've been doing it against, I don't think they'll have much of an issue getting to the glass against this type of team. And so, I mean, you always have in these mid-major games, you could see them get red hot from the perimeter and maybe make this a game, but I'm rolling with Texas A&M in this one.
Hey, I am here at Goose's Monte Cristo Lounge and Tobacconist here in Limerick, Pennsylvania. Stop on down. Okay. The 6-11 game. You know, everybody's talking about UNC getting in over West Virginia. The San Diego State UNC play-in game. Whoever wins that against Ole Miss. You know what's going to happen if UNC loses that game. Whoever wins that game, who do you have? Is it Ole Miss or is it the other two that you have?
I think I struggle all the time with these play-in games and trying to decide because you're kind of making 2 decisions in one here. But if you don't go ahead and make that decision, if you just try to pick it 2 teams versus 1, obviously the odds are then going to lean kind of in favor of the lower seeded team, regardless, based on your ability to do that. So I would probably lean for the lower seeded team because I think 2 things that you've got going for each of those. I think with North Carolina, you're the team that everyone's upset at. You're the team that everyone says should not be there. So in theory, you're going to come out and play really hard. They've got the talent on that team. There's no doubt about it. They've been considered one of the best teams in college basketball at points during the season, a lot earlier on. And then late in the season, they got on a little win streak. They were able to string together some results. So I think they come in with some good vibes. San Diego State, one of the best teams in the country. That's always going to translate well going up against an Ole Miss team that they're good, but they haven't shown consistent results throughout the course of the season, really. So I'd probably lean an upset there, but Ole Miss could also pull that one out.
Iowa State Lipscomb, this is the 3-14 matchup. Iowa State, Keyshawn Gilbert is out.
Yes.
Lipscomb, gritty team. I still have Iowa State advancing, although it may be closer than what the experts think.
Yeah, that's what I'm rolling with there too. The injury obviously is going to play a role, but he's been out for a little while now, so they've started to adjust to life without him. And if you're Iowa State, you just have too many good players, too many quality players to fall to a team like Lipscomb in that spot.
Then we jump to the 7-10 matchups, which are always great matchups. We got number 7 Marquette, number 10 New Mexico. Look, people are going back and forth on this one. How do you see it?
I like New Mexico in this one pretty clearly for me. Marquette has not been playing very well down the stretch here. They have really started to fade, kind of dropped from the 5 seed conversation all the way to this 7 seed, which I thought was a little bit generous. I had them as an 8 seed in my field. So I like this New Mexico matchup. Those Mountain West teams, they all seem to find their way into the tournament. New Mexico led the way in that conference this year, and they've got Donovan Dent, who I think is going to be one of the stars of March Madness here in this first weekend, putting up some big results.
2 Michigan State and 15 Bryant. Michigan State should have no problem. If Michigan State loses to Bryant, if any of the 2 or the 1 seed losing the first round, I'm just going to rip up all my brackets, and that'll be the end of it. So
yeah, Michigan State, I will say, I agree with you. They should win this one. I've got them going pretty far in the tournament.
Okay.
But if there was ever going to be, if you were going to look at any of these 1s or 2 seeds,
okay,
Michigan State cannot shoot the 3.
Okay.
And Bryant has shooter after shooter on their roster. So if you were going to find one, if there was going to be one of these long shot upsets, it would be Bryant getting red hot and Michigan State just unable to knock one down from the perimeter.
Michigan State, James Fletcher is putting you on notice in the first round. Out west, Florida should have no problem with Norfolk State. I thought Florida or Duke should have been the overall number 1 seed, not Auburn. Then we come to 8 UConn, 9 Oklahoma. Look, UConn hasn't been what they've been the last 2 years. Oklahoma is sort of an up and down team, sort of a pick 'em game. Where do you see it?
I lean UConn in this one. I just think that they've got a little bit more experience in NCAA tournament situations on that roster. This Oklahoma team probably overachieved getting to where they are to this point, but Jeremiah Fears has been up and down in the biggest moments. Liam McNeely, the best player on the other side for UConn, he has risen to the occasion in most of UConn's big moments where he's been available and not out with injury at different points. So I'd lean UConn in that one.
Then we go number 5, Memphis, number 12, Colorado State. Look, Colorado State right now is on a tear. Memphis sort of up and down. They play a lot of close games. I expect this one to be close. Where do you see it?
Yeah, I was not concerned at all about Memphis entering this tournament because you can see that they're just disinterested with the American Conference. They just don't care. They go out there and they play those games, and it's hard to get up for games that you just feel like you're that much better and that you're wasting your time almost for 3 months of the season. But they get rewarded with the 5 seed, but it might not be so much of a reward when you get rewarded with the hottest team probably of any team below a 1 or a 2 seed in the country. Colorado State has been on a tear, like you said. They have not lost a game in quite a while. They've won, strung together quite a few wins here. One, of course, the Mountain West tournament. Before the tournament, though, they were knocking off all of the top teams in the Mountain West. So, and that, of course, we just talked about a conference that has quite a few representatives in this field. So Nick Clifford is playing at an elite level. He's really raised his NBA draft stock through the last portion of this season. So I think the key for me in picking Colorado State over Memphis, though, is going to be Tyrese Hunter's injury. He did not look like he was going to be able to play. We've seen, crazy things happen. We've seen guys in walking boots on crutches, and then the next week they're able to at least give it a go. But if they don't have Tyrese Hunter, I'd lean Colorado State in this one just barely, which unfortunate for Memphis because, like I said, I thought they were going to be one of these sleeper teams that could make a deep run in the tournament, and they just injury luck and a bad draw.
For Maryland against the 13 seed Grand Canyon. Look, Grand Canyon is not scared of anybody. They knocked off St. Mary's in the first round last year. So how do you see this one?
Yeah, Tyon Grant Foster, obviously a great story there at Grand Canyon. Bryce Drew, also a great story coaching that team. But I think Maryland, the Crab Five, as they like to call them now, I think they've got too much there. The main key for Maryland is going to be stay healthy because they just don't have the depth to account for if somebody goes down. But when they're healthy, Julian Reese and Derek Queen on the inside, Gillespie on the outside, the rest of that group, they're just one of the best starting fives in the country. There's no question about it. So I'm rolling with Maryland in that one to avoid the upset.
6 Mizzou at 11 Drake. Look, Drake's put together a hell of a season. They're 30-3. They're not going to be shying away from the moment. Missouri, again, one of those teams that have been up and down all year. How do you see this one?
Yeah, Missouri, I'd classify in that same group as Ole Miss that I was talking about earlier. Kind of ups and downs. They can play really well, but they don't always play really well. I think that's dangerous against Drake, so I'm rolling with Drake. I've seen a lot of people kind of say that it's the way that they play, the coach that they have, talking about how they have D2 players. Bennett Sturtz, though, yes, he came from D2. That is not a D2 player. That is a player who has NBA draft scouts starting to look his way. He is starting to rise up into the conversation as a guy who might be able to, if he doesn't transfer somewhere and make a lot of money through NIL, could end up playing professionally next year. So this Drake team is much better than anyone is giving them credit for, has much better players than what anyone is giving them credit for. And I'm going to pick them to at least roll through this first round here.
3 Texas Tech against 14 UNC Wilmington. Texas Tech a little smallish on their side. UNC Wilmington, again, lesser conference, but no less a season that they've had. How do you see this one?
Yeah, Texas Tech, like you said, a little bit smaller, but JT Toppin kind of makes up with it as a good athlete, a guy who goes and is really tenacious on the boards. I'm rolling with Texas Tech in this one. I think it'll be a pretty easy game for the Red Raiders there. The key for them, though, throughout the tournament is going to be, can Darian Williams get healthy? If they have him, they're a different team, and right now they don't have him at full capacity.
Then we have the 7 seed Kansas Jayhawks, 10 Arkansas Razorbacks. Look, Kansas has not been what they've been. Arkansas, again, John Calipari doing a decent job there. Both teams up and down, James. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be Self versus Calipari to set up a matchup against Rick Pitino. So that is just about as good as you can get here in this first weekend of NCAA tournament action. If you're looking for the stars of the sport, we talk about the coaches being the stars in college basketball a lot of times. This is as good as it gets. I'm rolling with Kansas here. They're a little bit more veteran team, and while both of these teams have had ups and downs, I think the key here is actually potentially going to be Arkansas adding a player. They were very inconsistent early in the season when they had Boogie Flan and John L. Davis. They did not mesh very well, did not find their roles together, and now you're going to put them back into the backcourt with no reps and see what they're able to do. In addition to that, Adu Tiero is injured right now. So a lot of moving variables on that Arkansas team heading into a big matchup.
Any shot for Omaha?
I hope so, because they got the trash can thing, and that's one of the funniest bits going right now. But no, St. John's is really good.
So out to the east, number 1 Duke should roll in the first round. Then we get to the 8-9 matchup, Mississippi State Baylor. Kind of mirror images of one another.
Yeah, a tough one to kind of sort out. I think I go with probably leaning towards who might be the best college player in this matchup, which would be Josh Hubbard. VJ Edgecombe on the other side, going to be the best NBA player of anyone in this matchup. So we'll see which of those prevails, the guy who maybe has the most potential versus the guy who is the best at what he's doing right now.
5 Oregon, 12 Liberty. Oregon does not lose in the first round. What do you think?
I agree with that, and that's why I am going to hold off on picking the upset here. I'll go with Oregon. Oregon is a team that this season has been a little bit just strange. because it feels like they're really good, and then you kind of watch them and you're not that impressed, and then the analytics still say they're good, and you're kind of wondering what they are. But like you said, Dana Altman always has his teams prepared in March Madness. This is a Liberty team that is good, but I don't think is one of the best 12 seeds that we have in the field. So I will go with Oregon there.
4 Arizona, 13 Akron. I thought a 4 seed for Arizona was a little generous. I have them as potential upset alert against Akron.
Very well could be, because as we know, Caleb Love is the streakiest player in college basketball and has been for 4 or 5 years now. So I can't fault you for that. But I also know that Caleb Love, he loves March Madness. So if he can get hot here, not only could they win this one, they could go on a run with that group of defenders that they have. I think Carter Bryant is the key there. He doesn't put up big stats, but if you watch him, he is so engaged. He is one of the best young players who's willing to fill a role, which is something you don't see very often by these potential NBA draft prospects.
6 BYU, 11 VCU. BYU is on a hot streak. But Virginia Commonwealth, they better watch out.
Yeah, this is the matchup right here. This is the one in the first round that I am probably the most intrigued by. You saw BYU pop up in the bracket. You thought, okay, good spot for them. And then you saw VCU pop up right below them, and you said, wow, that is tough draw for both of those, because I really thought I was going to be picking both of these teams to move through. You've got that BYU team, veteran guys, really experienced. They're clicking together. You've got the upside also of Yegor Dimon, who is a future NBA prospect, has not had the best season since entering league play. It's been a little bit up and down. The shooting comes and goes. He is one of the best passers we have seen in college basketball, though. He is elite in that area. So as long as he can stay on the floor without too many turnovers, too many missed shots, he will add to them. Max Shulga on the other side is another guy who could be one of these. There's always the player who's attached to some of these Cinderella teams, and Max Shulga every capability to be that guy.
3 Wisconsin, 14 Montana. I fully expect Wisconsin to go through.
Yeah, this is the other part of I said BYU pops up, VCU pops up, and then Wisconsin pops up, and you go, oh man, how did they end up with all three of them in one pod? That just does not seem fair. Also not fair for Montana, who, fun little stat here, ranks highest among all teams in the field in Kim Palm's luck metric. The team who ranks highest in Kim Palm's luck metric does not do well in the NCAA tournament. They pretty much always lose in the first round. So not a lot of hope there for Montana. 7
St. Mary's against number 10 Vanderbilt. Again, it's a pick'em game, really.
Yeah. This will be a fun one. Obviously, St. Mary's has Augustus Marshallonis, Mitchell Saxton, two veteran guys who are really good players, but I like this Vanderbilt team. They're really scrappy. They've got some guards who will fight, who will compete. And I'm a little bit of a believer in what Mark Byington does. We saw him get a win last year in March Madness. So I'm going to roll with Vanderbilt here in this first round.
Any shot for Robert Morris?
Probably not in that one.
We go to the Midwest. Houston should blow through. Another good game. I'm interested in 8 Gonzaga, 9 Georgia. Look, Georgia, another one of those SEC teams. I know Gonzaga does Gonzaga type things, but this is going to be a really, really good game.
Yeah, I think the key here is going to be whether Asa Newell can get hot. Can he match up with those bigs that Gonzaga has? Because they'll be able to throw multiple guys at him. It's Graham Ike if they want to try to body him and kind of just wear him down physically. They've got Braden Huff who will stretch the floor a little bit more. So I'm interested to see how he matches up against these Gonzaga bigs. That'll be big for his stock, but also for this Georgia team as they try to make a push here. But I'm just going to give Gonzaga the edge here. I think they're a little bit more versatile in how they can play.
Number 5, Clemson, 12, McNeese State. Some people picking McNeese State. I've been high on Clemson all year. What do you think?
I also like Clemson, but I don't think I can go against Will Wade in this spot. Not only is this the 12 seed that we talk about in the field, the one that probably has the most chance of being that mid-major team. Colorado State probably has the best chance to win, but we don't necessarily think of the Mountain West as that mid-major team that's coming up that's going to get somebody. So I put McNeese right there with any mid-major team in the country. I think McNeese pulls this one out because Will Wade is going to be coaching for everything. I mean, he is in these kind of conversations for different jobs, and we often see guys get that little boost of energy, that little boost from their team. They pick up a win in the NCAA tournament and then land whatever job they're off to take.
For Purdue at 13, High Point, I have this one circled as a possible upset.
Definitely a possibility. This High Point team under Alan Huss has been excellent. They're kind of in that Creighton mold. A Greg McDermott assistant who has made his way now to the High Point program, but I do just lean Purdue because of Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Wynn's experience. They've played in the biggest moments that you can play in and been solid in all of those.
6 Illinois against the winner of the Texas Xavier playing game. A little controversy there about Texas and Xavier getting in. Look, Illinois is streaky, so it'll be a good matchup whoever they play.
Yeah, Illinois is in love with blowouts. They either get blown out or they blow the other team out. So I think with either of these teams that could advance, we could see either of those results. So it's going to be really fascinating to see. I think Illinois will be the better team on paper, but can you trust them? They're going to be one it's ripe for an upset. I think if it's Xavier, I think I'd probably lean in Illinois. If it's Texas, I would probably roll with the Longhorns because I like Trey Johnson. I think he is he's got that just a level of compete in him that very few people have, and he's got the ability to take over a game as well.
3 seed, my Kentucky Wildcats, who I thought it was a little bit of a generous seeding against number 14 Troy. Look, Kentucky, I've watched them some this year. They're either getting their butts kicked or they play really well and they blow people out. So how do you see this one?
Yeah, a lot of that for Kentucky has had to do with who they have on the floor. And it seems like Lamont Butler is going to be good to go at some point here, hopefully before that first matchup. So I do like Kentucky to go through, and I think that will have the entire Big Blue Nation breathing a huge sigh of relief, knowing that it is not the John Calipari first round kind of PTSD, and it would be Mark Pope's first NCAA tournament win. That's something that has kind of like moved to the back burner here, is that Kentucky fans were very frustrated with the lack of NCAA tournament success. The coach they brought in, perfect culture fit, has done so many things right, but he's still looking for his first win in March.
7-10 matchup. I think it's going to be a good one. UCLA, Utah State. How do you see this one?
This one's all over the map, just like this UCLA team has been. But I do think that UCLA, when they have not had a lot of travel attached to them, they have been pretty good. So I'll roll with UCLA in this one.
Tennessee should have no problem going through. So I'll try and speed it up here for you. Second round, you've got Auburn against Louisville. How do you see that?
I'm going to go Auburn there, but I think I think that this Louisville team can give them a challenge. Auburn, though, it'll be interesting to see if they get through those first 2 games. Can they right the ship? Can they get things pointed back in the right direction, looking like that team that looked unbeatable for most of the season?
Michigan A&M, who do you have?
I would lean Texas A&M there. I think that even though Michigan has the most size on paper, I think Texas A&M is the tougher team and might be able to kind of sneak up on them, surprise them a little bit.
Whoever Iowa State would play, who do you have?
I think that this is another spot where it'd be interesting to see if we could catch an upset, get one of these 11 seeds. We see it pretty often in the field. Some team that's a lower seed making it this deep in the tournament, but without knowing who that team is going to be, I think I have to lean Iowa State for now.
Number 2, Michigan State. Number 10, New Mexico, Michigan State. Better watch out.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to roll with Michigan State here because I like the development of Jace Richardson. I like the kind of camaraderie that they seem to have on this team. And, of course, Tom Izzo, known for his performances in March.
Florida, Oklahoma in the West. You have Florida going through, I'm assuming.
Yes.
And then we get to Maryland against, I think you took Colorado State, correct?
I did. I would lean Maryland here for the reasons that I said. I think that they are one of the best starting 5s in college basketball. But, of course, if there is an injury at any point, they become immediately the team to watch for an upset no matter what round it's in.
Drake and Texas Tech.
I'm so tempted to lean Drake here. I think I went Texas Tech in my bracket picks, though, so I'll stick with it. I'm not going to mix it up across different platforms, but know that Drake is the team that I really, really came close to listing there.
The Johnnies against Kansas, who do you have?
I'm going St. John's there. I think that this Kansas team been so inconsistent, but they come up against this St. John's team that is rolling right now. I don't think they're getting enough credit for how good they have been and how much they have won recently.
Duke, I think, did you take Baylor or Mississippi State? I can't remember.
Mississippi State, but I'll go Duke there. As long as Cooper Flag is healthy, I think they would roll through either of those teams.
In Oregon and Arizona, a former Pac-12 matchup. Who do you have there?
I would go Arizona just because I think that team can get a little bit hotter when we talk about teams with offensive punch.
Then we have Wisconsin against who did you take there? Did you take?
I took BYU just barely.
Okay.
I'll go with Wisconsin here. I'm going to rely on John Tonje to have a big performance.
Alabama against Vanderbilt doesn't seem fair, but an SEC matchup in the second round.
Yeah, the kind of the oddities of having 14 SEC teams in. I'll roll with Alabama in that one.
And then Houston against. Did you take Georgia? I know you went to Zags.
Gonzaga, yeah. I'm going to lean Houston here, but I think this might be where Houston is in the most danger before the Final Four. This matchup against Gonzaga would be a really interesting one. So for Kelvin Sampson, getting through that first weekend is going to be huge for that group.
Purdue McNeese State.
Again, I'm kind of tempted to go with the underdog, ride with them. But again, Braden Smith, Trey Kaufman-Renn, they're so experienced. I think Trey Kaufman-Renn on the interior would be able to pick that team apart.
Kentucky against whoever.
Yeah, I roll with Kentucky because we don't know who that team's going to be. I also like them against any of those teams, I think, if you were to ask me there. So as long as Kentucky's healthy, and that's the thing, they're not fully healthy, but as long as they have Lamont Butler back, he's seemed to be kind of the engine that makes that team go.
And then Tennessee against, did you take UCLA? Or did you take
I did
Utah?
take UCLA, and I'm going to lean with Tennessee on this one. I know it's a little bit chalky, but I think that some of these top teams have separated themselves so far.
Sweet 16, Auburn, Michigan.
This one, I believe I went Texas A&M.
Oh, that's right.
That one, and I'm going to go with Texas A&M to then win the next game against Auburn. We saw them pick apart that Auburn team, cause a lot of issues. So I'm going to roll with the Aggies there to pick up that win, have the first big upset.
Michigan State, Iowa State.
I'll go Michigan State in that one. I've been leaning towards potentially ruling Iowa State out anyways. And again, I think this Michigan State team's really good.
Florida, Maryland.
I'll go Florida in that one. They have just as good of a starting lineup, and they're deeper.
St. John's against, I can't remember who you picked.
That should have been Texas Tech. And so I will go with St. John's in that one. I like the Ejiofor versus Toppin matchup in that one.
Then we have Duke. Did you go Arizona or did you go Oregon?
I did go Arizona there, and I think that this is where Duke kind of starts to toughen up on their schedule. But I will go with Duke. I think Cooper Flag is just that impressive of a player.
Wisconsin, Alabama.
This is where I'm going to lean Wisconsin, actually. I think that Alabama has struggled at times to, I guess, figure out different matchups and to string together results and consistent shooting performances is the biggest thing. Especially if Grant Nelson is limited, I think that Wisconsin could catch them there.
And then Houston, I believe you took Purdue.
Purdue. I'm going to go with Houston in that one. Like I said, I think that Gonzaga matchup might be tougher for the Cougars than this one.
Kentucky, Tennessee.
This is a really tough one. You know that this is a little bit of a rivalry, of course, on its own. Now we see it in the NCAA tournament, and I would lean just barely towards Kentucky, I think, in that one. I think that Tennessee historically has struggled to make deep NCAA tournament runs, and I think they, again, catch a tough matchup here.
So we get to the Elite Eight. I'll let you tell me who you got in the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I'll go with Michigan State over Texas A&M. You ride that high of potentially beating an Auburn. You come in against another really good team that is now prepared for you. They're not going to get caught off guard. And so I'll lean Michigan State there. I like Florida to advance to the Final Four over St. John's. Again, I just think they're a little bit higher level of competition. And I do think to go back up to the South just very briefly, I think Michigan State, I have questions when I see them in my Final Four, and I think, can they really do it? And I think it comes down to, can Auburn pick back up momentum? Can they get back to that team that they looked like? If so, they will make a run all the way to the Final Four for sure. In the East, I like Duke to advance. Like I said, I just think Cooper Flagg is a different level of player. He is the best player in college basketball, and that's what you want when you're in March. Then in the Midwest, I will go a little bit more chalk and go with Houston there. I think that this might be Kelvin Sampson's team that has what it takes. If they can avoid injuries, that's what caught them last year. Remember, last year, they very well could have made a deep, deep run. And injuries, foul trouble, it all got to them, and they struggled to get deep into the field. But yes, it's a little bit of chalk, but we've also known who the 4 best teams in college basketball are for a little while now. I think it is a very open field, but I think it's open to a limited group of teams that can make the Final Four and that can win it all. So I'll go ahead and with my Final Four picks, I'll lean towards Florida against Duke in the national championship, and I'll go with Florida, who I think has the better college basketball players overall, versus Duke, who will have more players who end up NBA players.
Before I let you go, the teams you are watching in the first round that could pull major upsets.
Yeah, we talked about a few of them here. Of course, the ones that I picked to advance, the ones that I didn't pick that I think are very lively, UC San Diego, of course, there. We've got another one on the opposite side of the bracket, High Point, who we mentioned. That's a really good team in that Creighton mold. Creighton has been one of these teams that has been able to pick teams off in the past. Watch for them to be able to get something done there as well. Liberty against Oregon, another fascinating one. End up leaning Oregon, but Liberty is very lively in that one.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen, James Fletcher. He's picking Florida to win the national title. It's a popular pick. We don't know what's going on with Cooper Flagg's ankle. All he needs is to turn it again, and it's a whole different ball game. So injuries. James, thanks so much. I know you're busy. I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, enjoy the tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, that's James Fletcher. So let me break it down for you here. Now, I've got many brackets in already. Of course, after the first round, I'll have to rip them up anyway because they'll all be incorrect anyway. So you always have that person out there who's like, a Husky and a Sooner. If a Sooner has a gun, they can beat a Husky. You have people like that. So, here we go. I will go with. Let's go to the South. Auburn will have no problem. I get it. They've lost 4 or 5 heading into the tournament. Could it be that's just they're tired? They needed a break. I don't know. But there's no way they're going to lose in the first round. Louisville Creighton, the 8-9 matchup. James went at Louisville. I'm going Creighton. I get it. Louisville 27-7. A hell of a turnaround from last year for Louisville. Again, they have the AC Defensive Player of the Year, Chucky Hepburn. Look, if he's healthy, it could be a deep run for Louisville. When you look at Creighton, again, 24-10, good year. They've been here before. They're not going to back down from anybody. Again, 1-2 scoring punch. Brian Kalkbrenner, Stephen Ashworth. Anybody who's watched Kalkbrenner all year, he can dominate inside at times. They play great interior defense. The one thing that Creighton can do is turn the ball over, and they have problems with turning the ball over. If Louisville can turn them over, it might be a long day for Creighton. But I'm going to go Creighton to eke that out. Number 5, Michigan. Number 12, UC San Diego. I like what I saw out of Michigan in the Big Ten tournament. Look, UC San Diego, they're 30-4. They're no slouch. A lot of people are going to pick UC San Diego in this matchup. There goes Mr. Goose. A lot of people are going to pick the 12 over the 5, and I get it. But Michigan has the 2 7-footers. They're going to force teams to shoot from the outside. Unless you have teams with size that maybe would try to bang the ball inside, get those 2 guys in trouble. The one thing about Michigan I don't like, play at a slow pace. So if they get into a run and shoot, could be potential upset. You're talking UC San Diego. It's their first time being in the NCAA tournament. They turn other teams over. It's one of their marks. That's playing solid defense, making the other team make a mistake. I was tempted to go UC San Diego, but I liked what I saw out of Michigan. The 4-12 matchup, Texas A&M and Yale. James wins Texas A&M. I'm going for an upset. I'm saying Yale wins this one. One thing Texas A&M does well is offensive rebounds, so they give themselves second chance opportunities. Look, and Texas A&M, they struggle to defend the 3. They come up against a team that shoots the 3 ball well. They struggle. Yale, again, smart brand of football, execute well, frustrate teams. Just reading over some of their statistics. Don't forget they got John Poulikitis. They're a double-digit underdog, but I'm taking Yale with the upset. The 6-11 matchup, Ole Miss against either San Diego State or North Carolina. I'm going Ole Miss. Just don't like the way North Carolina's played all year. Again, San Diego State. Don't know much about them. Haven't watched much of them. But whoever wins that game, I just think Ole Miss, battle tested in the SEC. I think Ole Miss advances. Number 3, Iowa State at number 14, Lipscomb. I'm sorry, 3 Iowa State, 14 Lipscomb. Again, Iowa State can be out with one of their best players, but they've got talent across the board. Just looking over some of their stats. They still have Curtis Jones. They still have Tamin Lipsey. They can make a deep run. And when you look at Lipscomb, great year. Very good shooting team, by the way. But the thing with Lipscomb is not very big. Don't have a lot of bodies that are beefy. Iowa State will advance. Number 7, Marquette. Number 10, New Mexico. I've got New Mexico beating Marquette. I have not liked the way Marquette's look all year. They shoot the 3 ball a lot. But they're not very good at shooting the 3. But there's times they can look out of sorts. When you look at New Mexico, again, I've got all the stats up here and stuff. One thing about New Mexico is they play stout defense. And if you play stout defense all year long and in the tournament, you could go far. Again, they have a Mountain West Conference Player of the Year, Donovan Dent, center Nelly Jr. Joseph. They're among the nation's leaders in the paint, from what I'm seeing here. I just think New Mexico advances. Number 2, Michigan State, and number 15, Bryant. Jitters might keep Bryant close for a while because, again, it's the first round of the NCAA tournament. You're going to be nervous, but I fully expect Michigan State to advance. In the West, number 1, Florida, no problem. We get to UConn and Oklahoma. This is the 8-9 matchup. I'm actually taking Oklahoma in this one. I just don't like the way Connecticut's looked all year. I know Oklahoma hasn't looked much better. The only thing that keeps UConn in games is they do play tough interior defense. But again, I just think Oklahoma will leak this one out. Remember, Oklahoma started off 13-0, and I believe they're 10-10 since. I just think Oklahoma wins this close one. I don't like the way UConn looks down. They look down stretches of games. They come unraveled for some reason. Number 5, Memphis. Number 12, Colorado State. You heard James take Colorado State. I went back and forth on this a lot. Memphis has some fantastic wins this year. They really do. Colorado State's on a tear. The spread, I believe, is only 1.5 in favor of. It started off Memphis as a favorite, then it went to Colorado State. Now it's back to Memphis, I believe. Tell you what, I'm going to go Colorado State. I had Memphis, but James talked me into it. I think Colorado State wins this game. The 4-12 matchup will be Maryland against Grand Canyon. Again, Maryland, again, another team that plays strong defense, and they like to push the tempo. Defensive rebound, boom, get it out in transition. They push the tempo, they wear you down. The only thing about Maryland is their bench isn't all that deep. So if it comes down to the end of the game and it's a close game, they don't have a lot of fresh bodies. That's the only thing I'm worried about. Grand Canyon. Again, remember last year, they knocked off St. Mary's. Dangerous, dangerous team, my friends. Again, I went back and forth on this. I just think Maryland a little bit stronger. I have Maryland advancing to the second round. Missouri and Drake. Again, Missouri, one of those teams that have been up and down in the SEC. One of these stats that I saw that I was looking at Missouri, the Tigers are 17-0 when holding opponents to 21 or fewer free throw attempts. Their record, if the other team gets 22 or more free throw attempts, Missouri is 5-11. Expect a lot of points in this one. And then when you look at Drake, again, looking over the stats, again, solid defensively. I think Drake is going to try and get Missouri into foul trouble, get to the free throw line. I have Drake advancing. Texas Tech, UNC Wilmington. Again, another popular pick, UNC Wilmington. Again, when you look at Texas Tech, turn the other team over. Just looking up some of the stats. Now, the only thing about Texas Tech I don't like, they don't protect their rim really well. They don't have a lot of guys that are beefy. UNC Wilmington blew through their conference, had Kansas on the ropes. Just think that there's too much Texas Tech. They grind and grind. I've got Texas Tech. 7-10 matchup, Kansas and Arkansas. Mr. Fletcher took Kansas. I'm taking Arkansas. I get it. Kansas has a lot of experience, but I haven't liked the way they've looked all year. Arkansas has been streaky too. Looking over some other stats here for this game, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this will be a battle of attrition, this game, but I have Arkansas advancing. Number 2, St. John's, Omaha. St. John's, easy. Let me go to the East. Number 1, Duke, should have no problem. The 8-9 matchup, Mississippi State against Baylor. I've got Mississippi State advancing. They can score in the paint a lot, and they rebound really well. Here's another stat for you. Mississippi State is 17-4 when out rebounding their opponents. When they get out rebounded, they're 3-9. Don't think they know that, and don't think other teams know that as well. When you look at Baylor, they like to push the ball in transition. But I just think, again, battle of attrition. I think Mississippi State wins. Oregon and Liberty. I was sort of on the fence with this one. A lot of people are taking Liberty. But Dana Altman just gets his team ready. And Oregon doesn't lose in the first round. Liberty will be a formidable opponent. But I just think Oregon, with the experience that they have, I'm not saying they're going to blow them out, but I think they wear Liberty down. Number 4, Akron against number 4, Arizona against number 13, Akron. I just think Arizona has too much talent. Again, will Akron keep it close for a while just because it's the first round? Yes. Number 6, BYU. Number 11, VCU. I believe James took BYU. And they are hot. Don't get me wrong. They've got Richie Saunders, the guard. Their bench is outstanding. They do lack size in the front court, which is a little concerning. And they hang. They hang with teams. But I like this VCU team. Again, not a program that backs down from anybody, never backs down to a challenge. Just looking over some of the stats. VCU, big on the front line. You got 6'10" guys that they can just rotate in and out. I think that's going to be a problem for BYU. I think VCU advances. Number 3, Wisconsin, the 3rd seed out there in the East. Number 14, Montana. I've got Wisconsin advancing. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm actually on my Verizon pad, and I'm looking at stuff on my Verizon phone because my laptop, which is a Dell, not Adele the singer, it's a Dell laptop. So I took it to the Geek Squad at Best Buy, and I thought it was actually the part in the laptop where you plug into. I thought that maybe the prongs were bent or something, but then I had it at Best Buy, and they tried one of their other chargers, and it seemed to charge. They wanted like 60 some bucks for another charger. I'm like, I saw something at Walmart. I'll get it. It's like 20 bucks. So I ordered it online. It's got like 10 different like things that you can, that you can plug in to see if it's the right one. This thing claims to plug into 50 laptops. Guess which one it doesn't work for? Mine. So now I have to take that back. But anywho, I've got Wisconsin advancing. They're just overall a very, very well-rounded team. Play defense well. They don't beat themselves. Montana, on the other hand, fantastic season. And if you want to hear a stat, they have the highest field goal percentage among all NCAA tournament teams. They shoot 50% from the field. Just looking over some other stats. Since January 20th, they won 14 out of 15 games, shooting 54% from the field. 42% on threes, best in the nation. But I'm a former 6-foot center in high school. I love the pounded inside kind of game. Montana is very undersized, and that's where I think Wisconsin takes advantage. Number 7, St. Mary's. Number 10, Vanderbilt. St. Mary's lost to Gonzaga in the WAC tournament. When you look at St. Mary's, they play very, very slow. I'm talking really slow. Vanderbilt, again, SEC team, battle tested. I think this is going to be a fantastic game. It's two contrasting styles. Let's look at the Northern stats. Just their mirror images are, but Vanderbilt. I believe a little bit more battle tested. I got Vanderbilt advancing. Alabama, Robert Morris, forget about it. Alabama. In the Midwest, number 1, Houston should have no problem. Gonzaga and Georgia. I wanted to take Georgia, but I took Gonzaga. All that experience. When they get a lead, they stretch it. If they get down, they seem to come back. When you look at Georgia, again, SEC tested. But the only thing I worry about with Gonzaga, have you seen Georgia play? Have you seen the size of some of their players? They're tall. I mean, really tall. The only thing I like about Georgia, I was looking over the stats for the game, turned the ball over way too much. And I think that's where Georgia gets in trouble. Clemson, McNeese State. A lot of people are taking McNeese State. You heard Mr. Fletcher there. He is taking McNeese State. A lot of people are taking him. I like the way Clemson plays defense, though. They're 15-2 heading into the tournament. McNeese State, again, fantastic year. Score a lot of points off a transition. Gonna be close. It's gonna be close. But James went McNeese. I'm going Clemson. I've been high on Clemson all year. I just think they have what it takes to go into the next round. Purdue and High Point. This is the 4-13 matchup. Again, I was going back and forth on this one. Again, Purdue better be on upset alert here. They're 3-6 in their last 9 games heading into the tournament. But they have a lot of big wins too. I'm just looking over some of the stats. Not great defensively. Shoot the 3 well. When you go to High Point, first time in the NCAA tournament. Oh boy. I went back and forth on this one. I initially took High Point to upset Purdue, but I'm going to take Purdue just because of the experience factor. I think High Point gives them a tussle, but I just think Purdue will advance. Number 6, Illinois against the playing game of Texas and Xavier. Texas and Xavier, you heard Fletcher, Mr. Fletcher say that if it's Xavier that wins, he's taking Illinois. If it's Texas, he's taking Texas. I went Illinois. Don't ask me why. I just have Illinois to advance. The number 3 seed, Kentucky, 14 Troy. I think Kentucky's too talented to lose. If Kentucky gets bounced in the first round again, I might go jump off the Brent Franklin Bridge. UCLA, Utah State. I believe Mr. Fletcher took UCLA. I took Utah State. I just don't like the way they're playing right now, UCLA. Just really don't. They're a streaky team. I don't like streaky teams. You never know what you're going to get. That's why I have Utah State advancing. Just looking over some of the stats for Utah State. A deep team, bench-wise. They're 11-7 against top 100 competition. They beat St. Mary's, swept San Diego State. Just looking over some of their stats for Utah State. Better on offense than they are on defense. But their free throw shooting blows. Doesn't matter. I'm still taking Utah State. And then Tennessee and Wofford. I've got Tennessee advancing to the second round. So let's go to the round of 32. Questions, comments, feel free to ask. On the second round, number 1 Auburn against number 9 Creighton. This is where I think Auburn's athleticism will shine through. So I have Auburn going to the Sweet 16. I've got number 5 Michigan against number 13 Yale. Too much size on the interior for Michigan. I have Michigan advancing. Then I have number 6 Ole Miss and number 3 Iowa State. Went back and forth on this one. But I have Iowa State advancing. I think they're a little bit more talented than Ole Miss. Then I have number 2 Michigan State and number 10 New Mexico. Again, went back and forth on this. I just think Michigan State has too much talent. Again, they grind you down. The only thing that worries me about Michigan State, they get in a scoring drought sometimes. And they get themselves in trouble. That's in the South. Out west, I have Florida advancing over Oklahoma. Then I've got number 4 Maryland against Colorado State. I just think Maryland's too talented. Again, war of attrition. I've got Maryland advancing. I have number 11 Drake against number 3 Texas Tech. The way Texas Tech plays defense, the way they force you to shoot from the outside, they have too much size. I have Texas Tech advancing. Number 2 St. John's against number 10 Arkansas. I have St. John's advancing. I just like the way St. John's is playing right now. And look, Arkansas, Calipari, St. John's, Pitino. Loser has to buy the winner a bowl of pasta. Who'll be the best dressed? Whose hair will be slicker? What do you think? Then out east, number 1 Duke. I have against 8 Mississippi State. Duke's just too talented. I got Duke moving on. 5 Oregon and number 4 Arizona. Mr. Fletcher likes Arizona. I just think Oregon's a little bit better. I don't like the way Arizona's playing. Again, Dana Altman always has Oregon ready. I think Oregon advances. Number 3, Wisconsin. Number 11, VCU. I just think Wisconsin will bore VCU to death. They will play solid defense. They will run their offense effectively. I've got Wisconsin advancing to the Sweet 16. Number 2, Alabama. Number 10, Vanderbilt. Alabama better watch out. But with all that being said, I think Alabama is the more well-rounded team, so I have Alabama advancing to the Sweet 16. In the Midwest, you heard Mr. Fletcher talk about it. Number 1 Houston against number 8 Gonzaga. Could be where Houston slips up. Don't see it. I just think this is a very athletic Houston team. I think they beat Gonzaga. They advance to the Sweet 16. Number 5 Clemson against number 4 Purdue. Again, I'm very high on this Clemson team. They are hot coming into the tournament. Again, could they be upset in the first or second round? Yes, but I am rolling with the Tigers. Then I have number 3 Kentucky, number 6 Illinois. I think Kentucky is just too talented. I think Kentucky will advance to the Sweet 16. And then number 2 Tennessee, number 10 Utah State. Tennessee better watch out, but Tennessee is just way too talented. They advance to the Sweet 16. Pardon me while I take a sip of my beverage. In the Sweet 16, people are really down on Auburn. I think they get it corrected. I've got Auburn beating Michigan to head to the Elite Eight. The only thing I'm concerned about with Auburn is, again, lost 4 or 5 heading into the tournament. Michigan's big. Went through the Big Ten tournament. I think Auburn will advance. I think the athleticism will show up. This is in the South, by the way. Number 2, Michigan State against number 3, Iowa State. Michigan State, I think, will just wear Iowa State down. I have Michigan State advancing to the Elite Eight. Out west, number 1, Florida against number 4, Maryland. Maryland, tough team, not deep. Florida just playing too well right now, and they're deep. Florida advances. Number 2, St. John's against number 3, Texas Tech. Again, Texas Tech, scrappy team. St. John's just playing too well right now. I've got the Johnnies advancing to the Elite Eight. And then out east, Number 1, Duke. Number 5, Oregon. Duke's just way too talented. Although if Cooper Flagg re-aggravates that injury, but Duke should win. Number 3, Wisconsin. Number 2, Alabama. Flip-flop back and forth on this a lot. Again, I just think Alabama too athletic. Alabama advances. Then in the Midwest, I've got number 1 Houston against number 5 Clemson. Houston's just too athletic of a team. I love this Clemson team, but Houston will advance. And then number 2 Tennessee against number 3 Kentucky. Mr. Fletcher took Kentucky. I don't see it. I think Tennessee will advance to the Elite Eight. Which brings us to that Elite Eight. Number 1 Auburn against number 2 Michigan State. I went with Michigan State to advance to the Final Four. I think this is where it catches up with Auburn. Michigan State has a lot of people they can throw at them. I just think Michigan State will advance. Izzo have his team ready. In the West, Florida and St. John's. I just like the way this Florida team is playing. Florida will advance. Out East, number 1 Duke, number 2 Alabama. Again, depends on the health of Cooper Flagg, but they are too talented. I've got Duke advancing over Alabama. Number 1 Houston, number 2 Tennessee. Houston always seems to trip up somewhere, and I think this is where they trip up. I've got Tennessee advancing to the Final Four. So, in the Final Four, I've got Florida against Michigan State. Florida is just, again, playing 2-0 right now. They beat Michigan State. Duke against Tennessee. I think Duke will beat Tennessee. And then your national title game, ladies and gentlemen, I've got Florida beating Duke 86-80. So there you have it. I said I would take this till 8 o'clock. Again, if you're looking at when you go to the South, Louisville and Creighton is really a toss-up at that 8-9 spot. I've seen where it's 50-50. So you look at a 5-12 matchup, a 12 always beats a 5. UC San Diego, can they beat Michigan? Yeah. I just think Michigan's too big. Again, Texas A&M and Yale. I've got Yale with the upset. Just for something different. Again, Ole Miss, San Diego State, or North Carolina. Ole Miss could easily lose, but I just think Ole Miss. Don't like the way North Carolina's playing. I don't know what San Diego State brings to the table. A lot of people are taking New Mexico over Marquette. You go out west, that UConn, Oklahoma 8-9 matchup is a toss-up. The game could go either way. Number 5, Memphis and Colorado State is the 12th seed. You heard Mr. Fletcher talk about it. He likes Colorado State in the spot. He just doesn't trust Memphis. I took Colorado State as well. I think they're playing really well. I think they win. Missouri Drake 6-11 matchup. A lot of people are going to hop on Drake. I don't like the way Missouri's playing. The 7-10 matchup, Kansas Arkansas, again, could go either way. All that talent Kansas has, I just don't like the way they're playing. Out east, again, the 8-9 matchup, Mississippi State, Baylor, they're mirror images of one another. BYU, VCU. I think VCU just has too much talent. I think they beat BYU. I know BYU's hot. It's just a gut feeling. 7 St. Mary's, 10 Vanderbilt. Again, I'm taking Vanderbilt just because I think they're a well-rounded team. And then out in the Midwest, Gonzaga, Georgia. Flip-flop on that one, 8-9 game. I wanted to take Georgia. But Gonzaga is well-tested. 5-12, Clemson, McNeese State. You heard James Fletcher. He's taking McNeese State. I like this Clemson team. And I have Utah State over UCLA. So the games I'm really interested in are the Louisville Creighton. This is in the South. Texas A&M and Yale, just because they're two contrasting styles. Marquette, New Mexico should be a good game. In the West, UConn, Oklahoma. Which UConn team shows up? In the Memphis, Colorado State game, which Memphis team is going to come out? Memphis hops on them early. But again, NIL, transfer portal, sort of evens things up. All the higher seeds are the ones with the pressure. I've been watching the NCAA tournament since I was, 10? And all the lower seeds are playing with house money. They could care less. They've got nothing to lose. And that's what makes lower seeds dangerous, especially in today's world of semi-pro basketball, football. It's not college athletics anymore. Just like, Maryland, Grand Canyon. Maryland's not deep. Grand Canyon got nothing to lose. Missouri Drake. Drake's a hell of a basketball team. Out east, Mississippi State, Baylor. Should be a good game. BYU, VCU. VCU's got nothing to lose. Even Wisconsin, Montana. The Midwest, Gonzaga, Georgia could go either way. Purdue, the 4 seed. High Point's no slouch. And so on and so forth. I wanted to go to, if I can find it. I'm trying to find trends. I had it up here a minute ago, and now I can't find it. Go figure. Oh, if you're a betting fool like me, on Tuesday, one of the play-in games. I'm assuming that's St. Francis, PA, and Alcorn State or Alabama State. I can't even read it because I'm blind. 2.5 points. On Wednesday, the other play-in game. North Carolina is a 3.5 point favorite over San Diego State. Looking ahead to Thursday's games in the first round. Louisville is a 1.5 point favorite. Well, that's what it opened as. I'm sorry. It's fluctuating between 2.5 and 1.5 in favor of Louisville. Michigan, UC San Diego. Michigan's only a 3.5 point favorite, ladies and gentlemen. I actually thought about taking UC San Diego. Somebody knows something. It's only a 3.5 point spread. It's got to tell you something. Texas A&M is a 7.5-point favorite over Yale. BYU, 3.5-point favorite over Virginia Commonwealth. The big one of the big ones, Wisconsin is a 17.5-point favorite over Montana. Clemson is a 7.5-point favorite over McNeese State. Tennessee is an 18.5-point favorite over Wofford. And then I saw this. This is a misprint. Houston opened as a 127.5-point favorite, which is a typo. But Houston's favored by 27.5 over SIUE. Mizzou is favored over Drake by 4.5. Purdue is a favorite over High Point by 10.5. And actually, the Mizzou-Drake game, money's coming in on Mizzou. It's gone from 4.5 to 6.5. So people laying their money on Mizzou. Kansas is a 4.5-point favorite over Arkansas. UCLA a 5.5-point favorite over Utah State. St. John's is a 17.5-point favorite. Texas Tech a 15.5-point favorite over UNC Wilmington. And Gonzaga.
Thank you, Ryan. Bet on Mount St. Mary's.
Mount St. Mary's. Goose is telling me to bet on Mount St. Mary's.
The Mounts.
The Mounts. That's right. Mount St. Mary's, which he is an alum of, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you, bro.
Yep. No problem. Gonzaga's favored by 4.5 over Georgia. On Friday's games, Baylor is a slight favorite over Mississippi State by 1.5. Marquette favorite over New Mexico by 3.5. Michigan State is an 18.5-point favorite over Bryant. St. Mary's is a 5.5-point favorite over Vandy. Alabama is a 22.5-point favorite over Robert Morris. Iowa State 14.5 over Lipscomb. Although the spread has come down a point, so there are bettors out there throwing their money on Lipscomb. Oregon is only a 4.5-point favorite over Liberty. Again, 5-12 matchup to watch. Arizona is a 15.5-point favorite over Akron. UConn a 4.5-point favorite over Oklahoma. Maryland is an 11.5-point favorite over Grand Canyon. Memphis is only a 1.5-point favorite over Colorado State. Another 5-12 matchup to watch. Kentucky is a 10.5-point favorite over Troy. And Florida is a 25.5-point favorite. So again, the 1, 2, 3 seeds seem to be big time favorites. And again, I was trying to find. Give me just a second here. I'm looking over. Trying to find. I think I have it here. It's just technology. It's killing me. I just had it. There we go. Maybe not. Oh, here it is. I think this is. Here we go. This is like some trends. Only 11 number 2 seeds have ever lost to number 15 seeds. This is just some of the trends over the years. The 11-6 upsets are the most common, even more than 10-7 matchups. Uh, 61 11 seeds have recorded men's first round upsets. That's roughly almost a 40% win rate. So if you're looking for upsets, look to the 11 seeds. Number 10 seeds aren't far behind with 60 total first round wins. Number 12 seeds have produced 55 first round winners. Number 13 seeds, 33, and number 14 seeds, 23. So those are just some of the odds and trends. And we can go to, there we go. If you really want to get deep into it. As soon as it comes up there. And of course, let's do this just for shits and giggles. Here we go. Whoop, here we go. This is for you betting jabronis. So North Carolina, San Diego State. North Carolina is 8-1 against the spread in their last 9 games. North Carolina is 5-1 against the spread their last 6 games in March. They're 7-0 against the spread in their last 7 games when playing as the favorite. San Diego State is 2-4 against the spread their last 6 games. They're 1-4 against the spread in March. And they're also 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 games when playing as an underdog. Get all that? And here's some more. Creighton, Louisville. Creighton is 13-6-1 against the spread in their last 20 games. They are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games on a Thursday. Louisville's 4-2 against the spread in their last 6 games. They are 6-2 against the spread in their last 8 on Thursday. Just throwing some stuff out there for you. High Point and Purdue. High Point is 7-1 against the spread their last 8 games. Overall, they're 0-9 straight up against the Big Ten in their last 9. They are 11-1-2 against the spread in their last 14 games when playing as the underdog. Purdue's 2-6 against the spread their last 8 games. Montana and Wisconsin, some of your trends. Montana is 4-0-1 against the spread in their last 5 games. They are 0-6 against the spread in their last 6 games against the Big Ten. Wisconsin's 12-6 against the spread their last 18 games. 3-6 against the spread in March. Just throwing some stuff out there for you. Virginia Commonwealth and BYU. The Commodores are 1-4 against the spread their last 5 games. 1-5-6 against the spread their last 6 in March. 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 games on Thursday. BYU is 8-2 against the spread in their last 10 games. Just some Cliff Clavin type stuff over here. Georgia Gonzaga. Georgia's 5-1 against the spread their last 6 games. They are 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 games against the Zags. They're 10-1 against the spread in their last 11 against the West Coast Conference opponent, and they're 10-1 against the spread their last 11 games in March. Gonzaga is 5-2 against the spread their last 7 games. Again, I really want to take Georgia. But Mr. Fletcher talked me out of it. So I said I was going to go at 8 o'clock, but I will take this till 7:30, and then I will be done. Oh, here we go. Drake Mizzou, which is a 6-11 matchup. Drake is 1-8 against the spread in their last 9 games played on Thursday. But they're 8-0 against the spread their last 8 games when they're an underdog. Missouri, 1-4 against the spread their last 5 games. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games when playing on Thursday. So bet at your own discretion, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's going to wrap it up for me. I want to thanks to everybody who tunes in live. Whoever hits subscribe on the YouTube, looks at the replay, thank you. Again, show compassion, practice empathy. Have passion for what you do. Hug somebody today. It might make a difference. Tell somebody you love them, because you might not get a chance to do it again. Enjoy March Madness, everybody. It kicks off tomorrow with the dumbass play-in games. It's dumb, stupid. Just stick to 64 teams. Don't play shit on Tuesday and Wednesday. It's annoying. It was a bad idea. So with all that being said, there's only one thing left to do.
Turn out the lights. The party's over. They say that all good things must end. Call it a night. The party's over. And tomorrow and next year starts the same old thing again.